back, guys. We have seen how to create Azure storage account in the Azure ARM portal, and we have created a storage account, and we'll discuss one by one. Now we'll discuss about the service Azure services one by one. Now I'm going to discuss about Azure Blob services and how we store your data and how we access the data and what are the types of policies you need and how can we secure our data inside the blobs. So this is our class today, and just I'll see. So today we have Azure Storage Blobs, which means blobs, massively scalable objects stored in the cloud by using a simple REST interface. I mean the URL or the APIs. By using them, you can even put the data and you can get it and you can delete it. And data sharing is very simple today by using Azure Blobs. You can share your documents, pictures, images, I mean structured and unstructured data. uh, the same way, you can even store the big data. Microsoft Azure storage account supports a large data, so you can even store big data like store raw data, logs, and compute map reduce over data. And you can even back up the data and whatever you store in the blob services. Not only in the blob services, whatever the data you store in the Azure storage accounts, you can take a backup of it, and you can even restore them as whenever you want. So we'll go to the next slide, and this is actually the small architecture of Azure blob storage concept. And if you see here, Contoso is the Azure storage account, and if you want to store your data, and this is how the URL looks like. If you want to store your data inside the Azure storage account, you need to create a container. Without a container, you can't even store your data directly into the Azure storage account. So first we'll see how to create a container and how to store our data. Whatever the data we store inside this, but for example, if you see, we have an images container, and there is a data inside this image. So we have two image files. We call it as a blob data, and and there is a one more container called videos, and this is actually a video file inside it, so we call them as blob data. So in order to, so do remember this word. So in order to store your data, you should have a container inside the storage account, blob storage account. Then only you will be able to create, or you can manage your data. So we'll see in live how to do this. So yes, I'm into the Azure portal right now, so I'll click on blobs. And if you see here, you don't have any container yet, click on container to get started. Okay, I'll click on plus option here, which means this is giving me access to create a new container. So I'll just create a container. I'll say it as a test container. Okay, so yes, it is available, and we have three types of access levels. For example, I'm taking this as a private container, which means no anonymous users. I mean outside users cannot access this, no anonymous access. And the second one is blobs, anonymous read access for only for blobs only. I mean anonymous users can read access for blobs only for the blobs. And containers, anonymous read access for containers and blobs as well, as the both options in the same single container access type. So I'll just go with a private, and I'll show you how to store your data and how this private access level will work in real time. So I'll just click on a container. Yes, successfully created. This has created in fraction of seconds. Now I'll just click on a container, and now see, you got an option to store your data. For example, if you want to store any kind of data, I'll just click on upload. Yeah, I'll select a file. I'll select a file. um I'll just see whether do I have any image files or not. Just give me a second, guys. Let me upload some file. Yep, I have a file. I have a file. I'm just going to upload this file into this container. I have uploaded this, so the file is available in my storage account right now. In order to access this file, if I click on this file name, I'll be getting some URL. As I already told you, we can even generate the REST APIs or the URL. I mean, you can even access this from the outside world. If I copy this and if I paste the URL in the new tab, if you see here, XML file does not appear to have the style information associated with it, which is, even though this file is accessible via to public, but this is not accessible because the container, whatever the container we have created here, we have made it as a private access type. So that's the reason we cannot access this. In order to access this file, so what we need to do is we need to whatever the data you store inside this particular private access type container, you cannot access it, but that will be only accessible over the Azure portal. So right now what I'll do is I will change this container name, container access policy. So how can I do this? So I'll just click on access policy, and once I click on access policy, I'll be getting an option to change the permissions. So right now I'll take it as container and I'll just save it. Yes, this is done, and this is really quick. So the same URL I'll just again copy paste it. So now I'll try to refresh this because I have changed the permissions of the container. you know my file is accessible, which means the capture.png is accessible over the internet. Globally I can use this, and this is a secured way of accessing your data, which is HTTPS protocol, and you can access your data, any kind of data, from Azure storage in same way by using the URLs. Okay, and even you can download this file from here, and you can even delete this, and you can upload some files from Azure portal, but you cannot upload a huge files, because whatever the, as I already told you in the PPT, whatever the data you store in this container, we call it as a blob data. So again, we have three types of blob data here. While you are uploading any file, you will get a blob type. So I will show you once again. I'll just upload one more file and I'll show you. If you see here, we have an option called advanced. So when I click on advanced, so we got I'll just select one same image. Okay, I'll just take it as overwrite if file already exists. See, if you see here, we have three types of blob types. One is page blob, block blob, and append blob. Page blob is used to store some structured data like your CSV files, Excel files, etc., and VHD files. See, if you see here, the upload.vhd file as a page block, which means this is actually a recommended method. For example, when you are migrating a virtual machine into the cloud, or migrating your virtual machine, in the sense you'll be only migrating your virtual hard disk. Okay, the virtual hard disk supported format in Azure is .vhd. In order to upload that .vhd file into the cloud, what you need to do, you need to use some certain tools, because Azure, through Azure portal, it doesn't support huge files. So in order to use that, we have some tools to access the storage. So I'll just guide you how to do that, and I'll just share you the information in next sessions. Right now, see, in order to upload some page blob, in order to upload some VHD files or such kind of files, we need to take it as a page blob. So blob has structured and unstructured data, which means like PNG files, and like image large files like video files, and this all comes under blob. And the append blob, it contains both page blob sorry it has a both structured data and unstructured data. It has an access to both unstructured data and structured data, which means like you can use this append blob and you can even upload structured plus unstructured. But do remember that .vhd files must be uploaded in a format of page blob, otherwise the even though disk uploads into your cloud storage, but it doesn't work when you deploy a VM by using that. So do remember that. And for each and every blob type, we have some certain sizes. That maximum size, for example, if you see here, I'm selecting append blob, and the maximum size allowed here is 4 MB. More than 4 MB, I can't even upload any file inside the Azure Storage Cloud. In order to upload, as I told you, in order to upload a huge storage, huge files, so you need to use some certain tools called AZ copy or Azure Storage. So let's see. These are the three types here again. Now we have gone through this container and how to store the data, and what is the data, what we call the data inside the container. This is actually a blob data, as I already told you. You can even delete the container at any time, and here you can create a multiple containers, and you can store your data depending upon your access levels. So right now I have showed you, so we'll go back to the PPT. Yes. So abstraction disks, persistent disks for VMs in Azure, which is nothing but unmanaged. As of now, when we create an Azure storage account, that comes under unmanaged. So we'll see what is managed and what is unmanaged. So I'll just show you. me a second, guys. So we have two types. I'm sorry. I'll just select it. We have two types in Azure storage account. Azure storage. First one, unmanaged. Okay, unmanaged, and other one is okay, managed. What is unmanaged and what is managed? Unmanaged is nothing but Azure storage account. Okay, Azure storage account. So when you create a storage account in Azure, it comes under Azure storage account. And uh, instead of using Azure storage account, if you use a individual disk, so to create a VM in Azure, so that comes under managed. So few people in Azure, so they don't want to use the Azure storage account and the services that is offering like blobs, tables, queues, and files. So in order to avoid that storage account concept and all, so if they want only one VM with a single individual disk, then they can select the unmanaged option, where their VM will be created on a single disk, which is not related with Azure storage account. It individually stores in your subscription resource groups. And it is also a secured way of storing your data, and whatever the data you store inside that disk, that cannot be accessible out to the outside world. And whenever you log into the machine, then only you can access the data inside this particular disk. And but here you have a different option in storage. You have a container where you can store your data, and that data will be accessible to the outside world. And as I told you, we have two types of storage accounts again here. As I told you, standard and premium. But here also we have a same. Managed disk has a standard, and we have a premium. So you can even select any one of these. As I told you, premium is a costly feature where you are getting SSD solid state drives when you are when you are deploying a VM. And when you select standard, you are getting a normal HDD. With a premium storage accounts or with a premium manager disk, you will get a good IOPS and good performance. As you already know, SSD is a very costly feature in the market. So in order to use this a premium storage account, you need to pay extra for the Microsoft Azure. So this is a small difference between Azure storage, I mean unmanaged and managed disks. So currently we'll go back to the sessions again. Mm, so so as I told you, this is a costly feature, and each and every disk in the Azure storage supports only maximum of 1 TB. For example, if you want to create a VM in Azure Storage Explorer, sorry, Azure Storage account, which is an unmanaged account, so the maximum size it supports is 1 TB, and even in the manager disk, it only supports 1 TB of disk, 1 TB maximum. So stripe up to 32 disks for a total of 32 TB and more than 5000 IOPS. So Microsoft only recommend you to store only 40 maximum disks per storage account, because the storage account will get throttled, because there will be performance issues on the VMs, even though if you store more than 40 disks in a storage account, because the storage account supports 100 TB of data. And this is how it happens. And tables, and as I already told you, we have four services. Currently we have discussed about Azure blobs and how to store the data in a container, and what are the types in it, and what is blob data. Now we'll go with the another service called tables, and currently we are discussing about 533 examination. In this most probably IAS and past topics will be covered, and tables, yes, we will do cover in this. These tables are massively scalable, and NoSQL cloud storage. And we use a key and attributes to store and scale the data. And we can even store a user device or any type of metadata for your services. You can even auto load balances partitions to meet traffic needs. And mainly we do use this for SQL guys, whoever using the SQL databases and all. And OData protocol